Men and women were created equal. They are both moral and accountable beings, and whatever is right for man to do is right for woman to do. All I ask of our brethren is that they will take their feet from off our necks and permit us to stand upright on the ground which God has designed us to occupy.
The history of mankind is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations on the part of man toward woman, having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over her.
I want to go and see something better than I've ever known. I want to go, to take wings and fly.
Laws were made by men to benefit men. Law denied women control of their wages, guardianship of their children, and the rights to make contracts and get divorced.
The appropriate duties and influence of woman is in her dependence. She yields the power which God has given her for her protection, and her character becomes unnatural.
But women were ready.
One member of the U.S. Congress voted against American entry into World War II against Japan, and the vote was not surprising because that same member of Congress had voted against American entry into World War I. Jeanette Rankin of Montana voted against the war in both cases, and she recently was voted as the first member of the Susan B. Anthony Hall of Fame from the National Organization of Women. And Jeanette Rankin was born in 1880. She will be 92 years old on June 11th, and she is still in there fighting. Will you welcome, please, Ms. Jeanette Rankin.
And today, we're facing an election. And my slogan now is, governments make war. And the only way we can stop war is to have something to say about our government.
For more than 30 years, Susie Walking Bear constantly pushed for effective improvements to the Indian Health Services. She advocated for traditional tribal healers to attend Native patients and created the Community Health Representatives Outreach Program on reservations. But her legacy continues with one granddaughter and 3 great-granddaughters who are registered nurses and followed in her footsteps. After her death, she was inducted into the Gallery of Outstanding Montanans in the Capitol Rotunda in Helena. And in 2002, she was the first Native American to be inducted into the American Nurses Association's Hall of Fame.
She did come as a young, very young woman. She was born into slavery and lived with an aunt. After that, her parents were sold away from her and she never saw them again. She was hired as a governess to some children. This district judge was coming to Montana to take the bench in Virginia City, and so she was hired to take care of his children. On that, she probably was the only African-American woman to own a utility in the United States at that time, and she ran the water company. She took correspondence courses to learn how to run the business. And she was really very, very enterprising, and really a person that we should remember.
Leaders change, and leadership passes from one generation to the next. So it becomes not just a hope, but an urgent condition for a peaceful future will understand the challenge and devote themselves to it, even as you and I must.
Liberty means personal liberty. And that has a rather clear meaning, certainly much more clear than high-quality environment.
I would suggest that what is liberty to one person is not necessarily liberty to another.
Eloise Cobell is known as a heroine to Native Americans for taking a stand against the federal government, ultimately resulting in one of the largest lawsuit settlements ever recorded.
I started recognizing these serious problems with the trust accounts. I've tried for years and years, and I couldn't get any answers.
I'd never sued anybody before in my entire life, let alone the United States of America. I said to myself, if you don't do it, who will?
When Eloise Cobell first filed a lawsuit to recover lands and money for her people, she didn't set out to be a hero. She said, I just wanted to give justice to people that didn't have it. She fought for almost 15 years across 3 presidents, 7 trials, 10 appearances before a federal appeals court. She was a proud daughter of Montana's Blackfeet Nation. Eloise Cobell overcame the longest odds, reminding us that fighting for what is right is always worth it.
My passion for it is boundless. And the reason I give speeches about it is because I think that people don't altogether realize what a treasure they have in their Constitution in Montana.
When Denise Juneau talks, people listen, and not just little people. Denise Juneau is Montana's Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Teachers do the noble work of educating our children. Teachers do the work that matters. And we cannot thank them enough for the hard work they put in every day to ensure a bright future for all of us.
You know, Montana actually have been trailblazers in their votes. They elected the first woman to Congress in Jeanette Rankin before women even had the right to vote 100 years ago. I grew up on the Blackfeet Reservation here in Montana, and there's never been an American Indian woman to serve in Congress ever.
I think we all are, and making sure that kids have that access. So I want to know more about that.
Well, you know, I think it is that you can start out with very humble beginnings and you can get to wherever you are if you have support and you have people who are behind you cheering you on. The most important thing that a child can have is a caring adult in their corner to challenge them, to support them, and make sure that they are achieving their goals and getting supported. And so it opens so many more doors, and no matter where you come from, it can happen.
Ellen Baumler began her work at the Montana Historical Society in 1991 and only just retired in 2018. During her time at MHS, she directed and staffed Montana Historical Society's then new National Register Sign Program, writing or supervising the creation of over 1,600 interpretive signs.
I think, you know, what you read in history books, that's the bones of it. But I think people are really hungry to hear the human stories.
A woman's voice raised up in the silence can be heard a long way. A woman's voice raised up in the silence can be heard a long way.
We walk and stand together today to recognize that defending the most marginalized among us is defending all of us.
Ladies here with me holding a sign saying my feminism is intersectional. Can you tell me what that means?
Yeah, it means that feminism is for everybody, regardless of where you're from, what your sexuality is, what your gender is. Feminism supports everybody, and that's what this march is. This march is for everyone, no matter who you are or where you're from.
No hate in our state.
Protesters started marching a little before noon on Sanders and Roberts Street. Men, women, children, elderly, minorities, and members of the LGBTQ held signs saying no hate, love and equality, and my body, my rules.
Women are always working, whether you see them working or not. Therefore, we need different fitting and different functioning apparel to get real work done. I had no background in the apparel industry, so I had a lot to learn and just got to work trying everything. It's becoming more than a pair of pants to our customers. We had one customer write us saying that she wore her Red Ants pants into surgery because she felt stronger.
You know, I had teammates that were really supportive, people back home that would drive all that way. My mom and dad didn't ever miss a home game. And then kiddos and families from other reservations that were close that would always, I'd see them in the stand, and that helped me a lot.
Many of those kiddos looked up to Kip, who as a young adult was showing them what was possible for a child who grew up on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation in northwest Montana. And it wasn't just about opening the door at Montana, it was about kicking it down.
She inspired me then. She still inspires me. You know, she was an amazing human being. She was really special. She was very, very kind and loving, and the world needs more people like her. She was a very special spirit, and she'll be very missed.
here in Montana.